वेलकम टू फ्री लर्न यूनिवर्सिटी। मेरा नाम राहुल हसन है। इस वीडियो में बात करने वाले हैं BSGC 101 इंडियन क्लासिकल लिटरेचर के। हमने टोटल अभी तीन चैप्टर कंप्लीट कर दिए। हमारा चौथा चैप्टर है जो कि BSGC 101 आपका फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर का एग्जामिनेशन है, जो कि अभी एग्जामिनेशन होने वाला है। ये एक तरह का क्रैश कोर्स है जिसमें कि आपको PDF के सारे ऑडियो बुक मिल रहे हैं। अगर आप ईयरफोन लगाएंगे तो पूरी तरीके से आप चैप्टर को 2x अपने हिसाब से, 1.5x 1.75x अपनी स्पीड के अनुसार पढ़ सकते हैं, सुन सकते हैं। अभिजना शकुंतला ये यूनिट 4 है। कैरेक्टर एनालिसिस एंड क्रिटिकल पर्सपेक्टिव को हम लोग समझेंगे और इस चैप्टर के बारे में जो जानकारी है आपको पूरे ऑडियो को सुनने के बाद मिल जाएगा। अगर आप चाहें तो वीडियो को भी देख सकते हैं। कुछ क्वेश्चंस होंगे बीच से, आप इसको निकाल सकते हैं। यहाँ पे 4.5 में आपको लास्ट में कुछ क्वेश्चन है जो कि टोटल 8 क्वेश्चन, आप 8 क्वेश्चन को कंप्लीट करके जाइए एग्जामिनेशन में। और आपने क्या पढ़ा यहाँ पर दिया हुआ है 4.4 को, तो आप इसको अच्छे से कन्वर्ट कर लीजिएगा ताकि आप बाद में रिमेंबर कर सकें, अपना रिविजन कर सकें। तो अभी हम लोग शुरू करें हमारे चैप्टर को, जो कि है BGC 101 का ब्लॉक 1 का चैप्टर नंबर 4 यानी कि यूनिट 4। सो एक मिनट, डेस्कटॉप ऑन करना पड़ेगा, डेस्कटॉप ऑडियो।
Unit 4 ABHIJNANA SHAKUNTALAM. Character Analysis and Critical Perspectives. Structure 4.0 Objectives 4.1 Introduction 4.2 Character Analysis 4th February 2001 Sutradhar 4th February 2002 Shakuntala 4th February 2003 Duhsanta 4th February 2004 Madhavya 4.3 Critical Perspectives 4th March 2001 Gender 4th March 2002 Caste 4th March 2003 Kingship 4.4 Let us sum up 4.5 Questions 4.6 Suggested readings and references. 4.0 Objectives. This unit is aimed at giving a deeper understanding of the play by analyzing the characters and providing critical perspectives on the play. The first section examines important characters and their function in the play. The second section provides key criticisms on the play that include and are not limited to gender, caste, and kingship. Finally, we will end with a few questions, which will help us to encapsulate what we have studied so far. 4.1 Introduction. In this unit we'll look at what Sanskrit drama denotes and how characters have certain functions and roles to play. Sanskrit drama delineates the characters and their roles in combination with the use of various rasas. Let's take a deeper look at character analysis in the sections that follow. 4.2 Character Analysis. Sanskrit drama has many stock characters and the audience who were familiar with its structure could easily figure out the function of these characters. ABHIJNANA SHAKUNTALA contains the staples of Sanskritic drama with the Nirnaka hero and his entourage, Nayaki heroine and her companions, Viduska, jester, and court officials etc. The play is a beautiful mixture of the rasa of love, sudara, and heroism, veera, and we can see how they play out in the actions and dialogues of the characters. 4th February 2001 Sutradhar. As the name suggests, the Sutradhar is someone who holds the thread of the story. He is the one who introduces the play to the audience and in essence can be considered the narrator or if we stretch the analogy a bit even the director. 34. Kalidasa, ABHIJNANA SHAKUNTALA of the play and Chandra Rajan has translated the Sutradhar as director. His role is usually restricted to introductions of characters and acts. He guides the audience towards the proper enjoyment of the play as well as guides the play to its proper and logical ending. His role begins as soon as the benediction ends. Director, lady. If the preparations in the dressing room are completed, would you be pleased to attend us? Director, lady, we have here before us an august audience that is highly educated and most discerning. This evening we wait upon it with a new play composed by Kalidasa, entitled The Recognition of Shakuntala. Will you see to it that all the actors do their very best? P 169. At one point the Sutradhar narrator-director is so carried away by the actress's song that he forgets what they had intended to do as stated above. Director, beautifully sung, dear lady, aha just look around you, the audience is still, as if drawn in a picture spellbound, caught in the web of beauty woven by your singing. Now then, what play shall we put on to honor and entertain them further? Actress, why, sir, what you mentioned right at the beginning, the new play entitled The Recognition of Shakuntala. Director, you do well to remind me, dear lady. Indeed, my memory failed me for an instant, because I was carried far, far away, lured by your impassioned song, compelling looks towards the wings, even as the king, Duhsanta here, was, by the fleet fleeing antelope. pp 170-71. 4th February 2002 Shakuntala. Shakuntala, the heroine or Nalki of the play, was born of the Apsara Menka and the sage Viswamitra and abandoned at birth. Kamban finds her in the forest, protected by birds, and adopts her as his daughter. Being part human and part Apsara, she inherits her mother's otherworldly beauty and grace, which is what attracts Duhsanta in the first place. Shakuntala is portrayed as an exceptionally beautiful young woman who is loved by everyone in the hermitage, including the animals, trees, and plant life. Dear Ansuya, it is not merely a matter of father's injunction, I love them like a sister. P 176. She is first shown to us watering the plants and treating them like her kin. Similarly, when she leaves the hermitage, the animals and trees show their sorrow as well. Ansuya, Shakuntala dearest, have you noticed that there is not one sentient being in the hermitage that is not sorrowful now at the thought of losing you? See. The Kakravaka answers not the call of his love hidden behind lotus leaves, with lotus fiber dangling from his beak, he gazes only at you. P 225-26. 35. Kalidasa describes Shakuntala in traditional feminine terms of beauty as being slender-waisted, smooth skin, dark hair, etc., but he adds erotic terms too to her description through images drawn from the natural world. Duhsanta, with rounded breasts concealed by cloth of bark fastened at the shoulder in a fine knot, her youthful form enfolded like a flower in its pale leafy sheath unfolds not its glory. P 177. Especially through Duhsanta's words we are given a sensual physical picture of the heroine. She is equated to lovely flowers, blooming with magical youth, with doe-like eyes that radiate beauty, with sensuous lips, rounded breasts, etc. Though inlaid in duckweed the lotus glows, a dusky spot enhances the moon's radiance, this lissom girl is lovelier far dressed in bark. Her lower lip has the rich sheen of young shoots, her arms the very grace of tender twining stems, her limbs enchanting as a lovely flower glow with the radiance of magical youth. P 177. In Kalidasa's play, Shakuntala is therefore a young girl, yet to experience the vicissitudes of the worldly world. The Shakuntala of the epic is slightly different from the one in the play. In the epic, Shakuntala arrives with her son at the court. When rejected, she fights for herself and her son, quoting the law to counter Duhsanta's lies and insults. She argues her case in front of Duhsanta and prepares to leave after asserting that her son will reign sovereign. However, a heavenly voice affirms Shakuntala's words and the king accepts her. The play therefore departs firstly in showing Shakuntala as arriving before the birth of the son. At the face of Duhsanta's insults, Shakuntala does indeed, like her epic counterpart, assert her truthfulness, but there is no heavenly voice to validate her words and both Duhsanta and her ascetic companions reject her. The rejection is crucial in elevating Shakuntala's status as a pious woman because even after being humiliated in front of everyone, she remains faithful to her husband and suffers with quiet dignity rather than fighting further for her rights. Shakuntala, in accordance to the character of Nalki, is therefore steadfast in her love for Duhsanta. Her loyalty to her husband is what ennobles Shakuntala as an exemplary woman, the ideal Pativrata Stree. Thus the play offers us a Shakuntala who will be celebrated as a virtuous woman, being both a good wife and mother. 4th February 2003 Duhsanta. The Nalk or the hero is the main protagonist of the play. Heroes in Sanskrit drama belonged to the upper castes such as Brahmins or Kshatriyas. Since these figures embodied the Vira Rasa, they had to be handsome without any disfigurements, be intelligent, daring, and filled with courage and fortitude, making such men worthy of the heroic mantle. Duhsanta, the king of the Puru clan in the city of Hastinapur, is an ideal hero, loved and venerated by everyone in the kingdom, even by the ascetics in the secluded hermitage. As a king, Duhsanta is the upholder of law, and it is his scared duty to maintain order in his kingdom and protect his subjects. The hermits who come to request Duhsanta to protect the ritual in Act 2 compare him to a royal sage, who has the qualities of a king as well as a holy sage. ABHIJNANA SHAKUNTALAM, Character Analysis and Critical Perspectives. 36. Kalidasa, ABHIJNANA SHAKUNTALAM, how admirable. His person radiates such majesty, yet one feels at ease. But that is not surprising in a king who is almost a sage. P 194. What wonder then that this heroic king with arms strong as massive iron beams that bar the city's great gates should hold single sway over the all-supporting earth bounded by the dark blue oceans. P 195. Thus, Duhsanta is presented to us as an extremely likable character that can do no wrong. Therefore, We are not surprised when Shakuntala begins to have feeling for the disguised king after their very first meeting. However, when we further analyze his actions, we realize that he is a product of a patriarchal Brahminical order and follows the rules prescribed therein at the cost of hurting others, such as the animals he hunts or his other wives whom he ignores. The play opens with the king chasing a beautiful black buck, wreaking havoc in the scared forest, so much so that a scared elephant runs amok in the forest, causing more destruction. Duhsanta only stops when the ascetics request him to. In the pursuit of the deer, Duhsanta forgets his duty to protect the weak and creates fear instead. The metaphor of the hunt can be applied to his pursuit of Shakuntala as well, when he hides behind a tree to observe her, much like how a hunter would observe its prey. His initial appreciation of Shakuntala is purely physical. He is enchanted by her beauty and demure mannerisms, which are so different from the women in the court. Even Madhavya comments and ridicules Duhsanta's sudden desire for the taste of the sour tamarind, in contrast to the sweet delicacies available at the court. Nonetheless, Duhsanta first confirms Shakuntala's caste before beginning wooing her. As such, we can see how the king is acutely aware of caste positions and doesn't dare to upset them even when it comes to love. Duhsanta's Gandharva marriage is another example of the king neglecting his duty and forgetting his heroic conduct. Duhsanta, many are the daughters of sages, married by the Gandharv rite, we hear, and once married, felicitated with joyful acceptance by their fathers. p. 209. Even though this type of marriage is allowed, it is nevertheless a marriage whose legitimacy can be challenged, and it is later on in the play. Furthermore, Duhsanta is in such a hurry to marry and consummate the marriage with Shakuntala that he does not wait for Kamban to return, and also neglects to inform Kamban or even Gautami about it. This, as we see, is crucial in leaving Shakuntala without any material witnesses to prove her marriage to him. Duhsanta, are you saying that this lady is already married to me? Oh, hermits, rich in holiness, try as I might, I cannot recall to my mind accepting the hand of this lady in marriage at any time. Seeing that she is plainly pregnant, how can I receive her when I have doubts about being the husband? p. 237. Duhsanta's repudiation of Shakuntala provides us with yet another glimpse into the man. Since the curse has made him forget Shakuntala, he refuses to 37. Acknowledge her and the unborn child, calling her a cuckoo for trying to pass off another man's child as his. He further insults her by insinuating that all women are sly and cunning. Ascetic matron, listen, intuitive cunning is seen even in females of lower creatures, what then of those endowed with reason and understanding? The cuckoo, as we know, has her young reared by other birds before they take to the air. p. 239. We can excuse Duhsanta's memory loss, but we cannot excuse his harsh and sexist rejection. Perish the sinful thought, why are you out to sully your family's honor, and to make me fall? You are like a river that crumbles its banks to muddy its crystal stream, and uproots the tree growing by its edge. p. 238. Even as Duhsanta regrets his actions later when his memory is restored, such remorse seems lacking in sincerity if this is how Duhsanta behaves with women in general. KALIDASA has portrayed a king whose actions is not above criticisms, and thus provides us with a nuanced depiction of a hero that allows for a reconsideration of the hero figure. 4th February 2004 Madhavya. The jester is a stock figure in Sanskrit drama and is portrayed here by Madhavya. He is Duhsanta's constant companion and friend, and is the only other character from the world of Hastinapur who knows about Shakuntala. Madhavya is depicted as a frail hunchback with a staff, weak because of the physical strains of following the king in his hunts. He is thus a perfect foil to the handsome king. Madhavya's role as the jester is not limited to providing witty humor that highlights the flaws of the people around him. He is also Duhsanta's friend and confidant. He provides a helpful ear to the king, who unburdens himself on Madhavya, giving advice as well as providing solutions. Their friendship is so close that Duhsanta sends Madhavya in his stead for the completion of his mother's ritual. It is to Madhavya that Duhsanta reveals his true self and feelings. Oh, this cruel play of fate, I am reduced to a state of such misery. And why? Because I am the friend and constant companion of the king. He is obsessed with the chase. Then, what happened? As my ill luck would have it, he chanced upon a beautiful hermit girl. Shakuntala is the name. From that moment, sirs, the very idea of returning to the capital finds no place in his thoughts. p. 187. Despite being the king's friend, Madhavya does not shy away from poking fun at the lovesick king, even interrogating Duhsanta's desire for Shakuntala or satirically reminding him of his duties. Thus, Madhavya provides comic relief in the play that would otherwise become too serious. His words show his witty humor, which does not disparage anyone. Perhaps this is why Duhsanta, despite being the king, is indulgent of his friend and does not mind Madhavya's humorous barbs at himself or others. ABHIJNANA SHAKUNTALA, Character Analysis and Critical Perspectives. 38. KALIDASA, ABHIJNANA SHAKUNTALA 4.3 Critical Analysis. The next section will deal with the critical analysis of the play from the point of view of gender, caste and the notion of kingship. 4th March 2001 Gender. The play has been scrutinized under various critical lenses, one of them being gender. The play provides a very fertile space to examine the concept of gender in the Vedic society and what it means today, in our contemporary world, to read such works. We will look at the role of gender as well as study its implications on the actions undertaken by the characters in the play. Let us begin with the titular character, Shakuntala. Shakuntala, as we discussed earlier, is of semi-divine parentage as her mother is an Apsara celestial being. Her ethereal and enchanting beauty is a testament to her Apsara heritage. Apsaras are known for their beauty but are also known for their disorderly femininity, in the sense that these women are not controlled by the strictures of the patriarchal mortal world. They are, mostly, free to act on their own accord and are seen as more sexually free than mortal women. These celestial beings were adept at music and dance and the gods used them to disrupt the meditations of powerful ascetics, which was the case with the Apsara Menka who is Shakuntala's mother as she was sent by the god Indra to distract the sage Viswamitra from his penance. It is not surprising that the Apsara image is that of uncontrolled women, who abandon their children, and take on multiple lovers etc. Shakuntala's Apsara legacy is something that the audience would be acutely aware of and Kalidasa uses their dangerous femininity to show Shakuntala as a pativrata woman unlike her mother. It creates a neat contrast between women who disrupt society, Apsaras, and women who uphold the mores of society, Shakuntala. In the play, when Shakuntala goes to Duhsanta's court, he accuses her of trying to pass off another man's child as his when she tells him of her pregnancy. This statement is in line with the actions expected out of Apsaras, who do not behave responsibly towards children born from their encounters with men. Looking at Shakuntala's own history at being abandoned at birth and her Apsara lineage, Duhsanta's accusation, though not acceptable or warranted, cannot be seen as completely ungrounded. However, Kalidasa does offer a redemptive understanding of Apsara's right after Duhsanta rejects Shakuntala. Abandoned by everyone, a distraught Shakuntala asks the earth to swallow her, which is reminiscent of Sita's request in the Ramayana when her chastity is questioned, and as she leaves the court her mother transports her to her heavenly hermitage. High priest, no sooner had Kamban's disciples left on their journey back than, the young girl cursing her stars, wept aloud, flinging her hands up. King, and then, high priest, a flash of light in a woman's shape from Apsara pool, snatched her up and vanished straightaway. P.242. This event shows us the protective and caring side of Menka, who though an Apsara feels a sense of responsibility for her daughter Shakuntala's plight. 39. Her mother even instructs her friend, Miss Rexy, to keep an eye on Shakuntala as well as on the events unfolding in the mortal realm with Duhsanta. These actions are a departure from the general understanding of these supernatural women and show a much more agreeable angle to them. However, this is not enough to overturn the stigma of promiscuity and assertive individuality associated with Apsaras, and so Kalidasa recreates Shakuntala in the play as an obedient, virtuous woman who is steadfast in her love, unlike Apsaras, even after being abandoned. Thus, Kalidasa creates an image of the dutiful wife, who even in the face of injustice does not abandon her responsibilities. Through Shakuntala we see Kalidasa's attempt at rewriting Apsara femininity in creating a compliant, dutiful, pativrata wife who would serve as exemplary of ideal womanhood. Shakuntala is purged of her deviant femininity and can therefore be celebrated in the play as the heroine. The play also offers us a look into the expected female behavior in the Vedic period through the repeated instructions on how to be an ideal wife which we see in Kamban's advice in Act 4. Kamban, my beloved child, be held in high esteem by your lord as Sarmista was by Yayati, as she bore Puru. May you too bear a son to whom the whole world will bow. My child, you are now leaving for your husband's home. When you enter it, serve your elders with diligence, be a friend to your co-wives. Even if wronged by your husband, do not cross him through anger. Thus do girls attain the status of mistress of the home. Those who act contrary are the bane of their families. What does our Goitme think of this? The matron Gautami too confirms the point of view of Kamban, implying that that was how young girls were trained to behave in their marital homes. Gautami, the best advice for a young bride. To Shakuntala, dear daughter, keep these precepts always in mind. P. 227. Gautami and the other female ascetics reiterate this advice as well. Even as her hermit companions abandon Shakuntala, these ascetics do so by telling her to do her duty as a wife and stay with the husband, even though it is clearly visible that the husband does not want her. Sangarava, if you are what the king says you are, what will your father have to do with you, a stain on his family? But, as you know your own conduct to be pure, even servitude in your husband's house will be welcome to you. Stay here, we are leaving. P. 241. These wifely duties are referenced to in the final act, where Marika is said to be busy preaching to Aditi and the wives of other sages on the conduct of a virtuous wife. So we can see a running preoccupation with women's behavior and how to create ideal women in the play. These dictates essentially tell women. ABHIJNANA SHAKUNTALAM, Character Analysis and Critical Perspectives. 40. KALIDASA, ABHIJNANA SHAKUNTALAM to obey their husbands and to bear them sons to carry forward the lineage, outlining their duties as mothers and wives. Nowhere do these dictates incorporate women's feelings or their personal desires. In fact, Kamban in Act 4 considers women as others' wealth, to be taken care of till they are given away, and is relieved that he has finally given Shakuntala away to Duhsanta. The blatant objectification of women and their secondary position is visible here. This helps us to understand the position that women occupied and the powers that, at least upper caste women, were allowed to exercise. Compared to the disorderly femininity of the Apsara is the patriarchal sanctioned femininity embodied in the figure of Aditi, Marika's wife and Indra's mother. It is important to note that it is in the ordered patriarchal world of the sacred hermitage that Shakuntala regains her marital happiness. Unlike the epic where a celestial voice asserts Shakuntala's claims and helps her or reclaim her rightful place as Duhsanta's wife, in the play their union occurs after a break of 6 years. This union is sanctified in the sacred hermitage as compared to the Gandharv marriage, which was rejected. The heavenly couple, Marika and Aditi, serve as a model for Duhsanta and Shakuntala, and it is a pity that their familial union occurs here. We must not forget that it is not simply the union of two lovers but of a family, which includes their son, Bharata. Thus, the play's end undercuts the romantic aspirations of the text and takes its conclusion in the fulfillment of family life by reasserting upper caste feminine ideal. Shakuntala has thereby fulfilled her duty as a wife and mother by providing a son to continue the Puru line, which was a deep concern for the childless Duhsanta. In this analysis we have seen how the play takes from its surrounding and influences it as well. The play's remodeling of Shakuntala as the ideal wife is a good example of how proper, feminine behavior is articulated and propagated. 4th March 2002 Caste. Caste played a huge role in the Vedic Hindu society, and it still does in today's Indian society. The fourfold structure of caste regulates everything from marriage, occupation, education, food, and religious rituals, etc. In the play, right from Act I, we see how caste determines the actions of the characters. Before Duhsanta begins to actively pursue Shakuntala, he wants to ascertain her caste. 1. A Kshatriya king cannot marry a woman of unknown caste, and as stated in the Manusmriti, a man can marry a woman who is of the same caste or one caste lower, known as Anuloma. Once Shakuntala's friends confirm her Kshatriya caste, Duhsanta is relieved and proceeds to woo her. Duhsanta's love for Shakuntala, whether genuine or a passing whim, cannot fall outside of the Varna order, and hence knowing where she stands in the Varna system is important for him. This preoccupation with caste shows its central place in the society, and more so for the king, as the continuation of his lineage depends on the birth of sons who will carry on the father's caste. In accordance to the caste system, sons are important as they ensure the continuation of the family's name caste line. As such, another preoccupation in the play is the birth of a son to continue the Puru line. Duhsanta's mother is shown as keeping a fast to ensure the succession of her family, and in the episode regarding the distribution of a recently deceased merchant's wealth in Act 6, Duhsanta faints at the realization that unlike the merchant, he might 41. Not beget a son to ensure the continuation of the Puru clan. The blessings given by Kamban and Gautami to Shakuntala also pertain to giving birth to sons for the same purpose. Another incident that shows caste prejudice is the fisherman episode, where he is treated with disdain and called a thief for having found the cursed ring. The guards abuse and beat him and threaten to hang him without any proof because of their own caste superiority over the fisherman's. They assumed that he must have stolen the ring because of his lower caste position. Even after Duhsanta rewards the fisherman for having found the ring, the gods do not apologize for their cruel behavior but are instead irritated at the reward being given to him. It is only when the fisherman offers to share the reward by buying alcohol for them that they become friendly. This incident displays the hypocrisy of the caste system where differences can easily be surpassed when it comes to money. Greed seems to know no caste. As we have seen till now, caste is not overtly noticeable in the play, but if we peel back the layers and examine the text, we find caste assumptions and prejudices that underlie the actions of the characters. 4th March 2003 Kingship. The play is not just a romance between a man and a woman but of a king and a semi-divine woman. Duhsanta is also described as the sage king, having the virtue, wisdom as well as the power to rule over his kingdom. Therefore, it is Duhsanta's duty to protect those in need, which is what gives him the opportunity to woo Shakuntala in the hermitage. He is also responsible for maintaining order in his kingdom, and Indra even calls upon him to help them defeat the demons Asuras and help restore cosmic order. His conformation of Shakuntala's caste, as discussed above, is also in keeping with his duty to maintain the social order. When he departs the forest, he gives Shakuntala his signet ring with his name on it. The ring is a symbol of his kingship and a surety of his promise to send for her and make her his queen. The loss of the ring combined with the curse puts into doubt the veracity of Shakuntala's claims, and thus Shakuntala's rejection is seen as justified by the people in the court. In the epic, Duhsanta rejects both Shakuntala and his son, but here it is a lonely Shakuntala with her unborn son. However, it is Duhsanta's duty to also provide an heir to continue the Puru line. The king's desire for a son is of paramount importance for the benefit of the kingdom as well. Thus, when he rejects Shakuntala and the unborn son, he is doing so not just as a man but also as a king. Being the king, he cannot accept any child as his without confirming the parentage. Nonetheless, we see how desperate Duhsanta is for a son when he agrees to the high priest's idea that if the child bears the auspicious marks prophesied for his son, he will accept both Shakuntala and the child as his. Thus, the need for a son to bequeath the kingdom to and ensure its safety and prosperity far outweigh the truth of Shakuntala's claims and the justice denied to her. As a king, there are times when Duhsanta forgets his duty, specifically before the consummation of his desire for Shakuntala and after the revelation of the curse. In both these instances, he languishes firstly in his unfulfilled desire and later in his remorse for treating Shakuntala so cruelly. He becomes dejected and has to be roused from this lethargy as such prolonged neglect of his duty. ABHIJNANA SHAKUNTALA, Character Analysis and Critical Perspectives. 42. KALIDASA, ABHIJNANA SHAKUNTALA is not only bad for the kingdom but also can incite criticism and rebellion. The resolution in the play is therefore not just for Duhsanta, Shakuntala, and Bharata to achieve the required happy familial union but also for the smooth functioning of the kingdom and for its secure future. 4.4 Let us sum up. By this time we have finished reading the text The Loom of Time. We have gone through each unit and are now in a position to see how Kalidasa has used his characters to narrate the story of Shakuntala and how he deviates from the Sanskritic norms as well as the epic by playing with the audience's expectations of the characters. The critical analysis will equip us to understand the various lenses through which the play can be read and will help us expand our understanding of the play. However, we should keep in mind the fact that though we as 21st century readers analyze the play from our point in time and our location, and through various 20th and 21st century critical tools, what we see as blatant disregard for a woman's honor and dignity was the norm, and even today in many parts of the country it still is how women are regarded. For instance, we may recall hearing women in our own families or women who work for us say things like a daughter cannot stay forever in her parental home, or that a daughter's dole, wedding entourage, leaves her parental home and her arti, funeral procession, will leave from her marital home, or even that their burdens will become lighter once the daughters are married off. Then again, we keep reading about honor killings and of deaths related to intercaste marriages, so the question really is, have we really moved away from the time of Shakuntala and Kalidasa? Just leaving you with food for thought. 4.5 Questions. 1. Discuss the points of contrast between the two Shakuntala episodes in the Mahabharata and the Loom of Time ABHIJNANA SHAKUNTALA. 2. Discuss the evocation of the Veera, heroism, and the Sutradhar, love, rasa in the play. 3. ABHIJNANA SHAKUNTALAM is a dramatization of the conflicts of the private and the public and of desire and duty. Discuss. 4. Discuss the rejection and recognition scene in the play. 5. What is the relevance of the curse and the ring in the play? 6. Duhsanta leaves his kingly authority behind when he enters the hermitage. Do you agree? 7. Comment on the treatment of women in play with reference to any 3 female characters. 8. Write a note on the role of Madhavya as Viduska. 4.6 Suggested readings and references. Chandra, Rajan, Translator. Kalidasa. The Loom of Time. New Delhi, Penguin Random House, 1989. Kalidasa, The Recognition of Shakuntala. Edited and translated by Somdeva Vasudeva, New York University Press, 2006. 43. Keith, Arthur Berriedale. The Sanskrit Drama in its Origin, Development, Theory and Practice. London, Oxford University Press, 1924. Raghavan, V. Sanskrit Drama, Theory and Performance. Comparative Drama, Vol. 1, Number 1 1967, pp. 3648. Shekhar, Indu. Sanskrit Drama, Its Origin and Decline Leiden, E. J. Brill, 1960. Verma, K. M., The Basis of Indian Classical Drama. Zeitschrift der Deutschen Morgenlandischen Gesellschaft, 110, NF 35, number 29. 1960, pp. 317329. E. M. Forst.
तो उम्मीद करते हैं आपने पूरे वीडियो को देखा होगा और आपको समझ में आ गया होगा ये चैप्टर जो है ब्लॉक 1 का चैप्टर यूनिट 4 जो हमने यहाँ पे कवर करने का प्रयास किया है। हाँ, तो फिर देखिए आपका BGC 101 में टोटल 4 ब्लॉक है, पर ब्लॉक में टोटल 4 चैप्टर्स हैं, यानी कि टोटल आपको 16 चैप्टर्स है जिसमें कि हमने अभी 4 चैप्टर कंप्लीट कर लिया है। BGC 101 का टोटल ये 5वां वीडियो है, एक वीडियो ओवरव्यू था और टोटल जो 4 वीडियोस है यूनिट 1, यूनिट 2, यूनिट 3, यूनिट 4 ब्लॉक 1 का कंप्लीट है, जिसमें कि हमने कंप्लीट किया अभिजना शकुंतला जो ब्लॉक का नाम है, जिसमें कि आपका है इंडियन एथेस्टिक्स, कालिदास एन ओवरव्यू, अभिजना शकुंतला टेक्सचुअल एनालिसिस, उसके बाद अभिजना शकुंतला कैरेक्टर एनालिसिस एंड क्रिटिकल पर्सपेक्टिव्स। तो हमने यहाँ कंप्लीट कर लिया है, ब्लॉक 1 को पूरी तरीके से समाप्त हो गया। अगर आपके पास इससे रिलेटेड कोई सवालात हो आप कमेंट सेक्शन में कमेंट कर सकते हैं और जो भी आप पूछ सकते हैं, और माफ़ी चाहेंगे, हम इसको पर्सनली एक्सप्लेन कर सकते थे लेकिन बहुत वक्त लग जाएगा और उतना समय है नहीं, मुझे बहुत सारे चैप्टर्स बनाने और भी चैनल मेंटेन करना होता है इग्नू के समय में। तो उम्मीद करते हैं आपके लिए वीडियो हेल्पफुल रहा हो। सो हाँ, आप हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर ही लीजिए, आने वाले समय में रेगुलर कंटेंट आएंगे, बहुत दिन से रेगुलर कंटेंट नहीं आ रहा था। एंड अगर आप चाहें तो हमारे टेलीग्राम में भी ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं, ऐसे इन्फॉर्मेटिव बहुत सारे कंटेंट आएंगे, तो वहाँ पर आपको फर्स्ट नोटिफिकेशन मिल जाएगा। थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग, ऑल द बेस्ट फॉर एग्जामिनेशंस।